For the purposes of operations management, when we talk about service and products, our definition of capacity is the ability for items to exit a system. So either in production, something to be produced, or in service, something to complete a system. So we may draw a system and it may have a number of stations. Let's say this particular system, whether it be production or service, has 5 stations. And let's say each takes 4 minutes. Each station takes 4 minutes. That means that for one item to go through the system, it takes the sum of these 4. So that would be 4 times 5, 20 minutes. But that's referred to throughput. What we're really concerned about is how often does an item exit the system. And in this case, we would have one item exiting every 4 minutes, which would be the system's capacity. Oftentimes, these terms are used synonymously, but for operations management purposes, they are not synonymous. Again, throughput is the ability for one item to go through, and that's really assuming that there's no waiting involved. So that would be the first item to go through a system. The next item would be waiting on the first item. So in this kind of system, there wouldn't, if we sent an item in every 4 minutes, so as soon as an item exited here, we sent one in, then it would still take that second one 20 minutes, and we would have one exiting every 4 minutes. The problem occurs when one of these does not equal the other, which is actually very common. So we might have an instance in which this station takes 6 minutes. And the short of it is that our capacity, this would become what's called a bottleneck. So our throughput would change by 2. It would go up to 2. And our capacity would change to 6. That means we would have one item exit the system every 6 minutes. It is important to note that following that first item, the second item as it comes through would have to wait here. And if we keep sending items through, with not taking this into account, we would eventually have somewhat of a buildup here prior to station 6. Now, if we sent an item through every 6 minutes, so once it exits the station, we send the next item through here, then it would operate a lot smoother. The capacity and the throughput wouldn't change, but we'd be able to get rid of a lot of this backlog or buildup right here. So to summarize, when we talk about capacity in operations management, we're talking about the ability of a system, whether it be service or production, to exit an item from the system. Of course, in production, we're talking about a finished item. In service, we're talking about maybe a person completing the system. Where we have all stations in a system, or all activities in a station, when they all possess the same processing times, then we don't have bottleneck. But when we do, the bottleneck in effect becomes the capacity, because it regulates how often we can produce an item from the system.